Great. Well, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us for our panel discussion. This is part of our virtual series that we've been hosting here with Houghton, Mifflin, Harcourt. My name's Jason Lupke. I'm a global solution specialist with HMH, and I'm honored to be here tonight with a team of really great educators and bringing this to you live via our YouTube channel. The educational experts that we have here today, we're prepared to talk about the digital transformation that we've seen over the last 12 months, of course. So with us today, I've got myself, my colleague Drew Olzak, who is also a global solution specialist, and then of course Mohammed Jina, who's here with us as well, and will be taking questions and comments from the chat on YouTube. So if you're joining us on YouTube, feel free to interact with us there, give us your feedback, and ask questions there as well. Also with us today, I have Argelia Alvarez. She has been an educator. She teaches second grade in Mexico, and also will be coming to us tonight with a parent perspective, as she has two kids at home. So like so many of us around the globe, has been teaching from home, working from home, and also working with her own children and teaching them as they've been doing their instruction from home. So she'll kind of bring a dual perspective tonight, which we really appreciate. Thanks for joining us. And then we have Fina Rios, and she has been a longtime teacher, pre-K, elementary teacher, and now an English coordinator with the Piaget School in Mexico. And so we're super excited to have her background and expertise from that educational leader perspective. Thanks for joining us, Fina. Rosie Reyes.
Sure, thank you.
Rosie Reyes joins us. She is currently a teacher and will help bring that teacher experience to the table today, talking about working with students in as we make that digital transformation. She's been teaching for about 9 years at the elementary level, also with the Piaget School in Mexico. Rosie, welcome, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
And then we have Monica Furcan. She joins us also from Mexico. Monica has been a lifelong educator, teaching English in Mexico there, from kindergarten all the way up to the university level. So she is well versed in being able to adjust to the needs of her students. We all know that's a pretty broad range of students. So Monica brings a wealth of educational experience and background to the table. And so we're very excited to have Monica. She works for HMH and represents schools and teachers in Mexico really well. So Monica, thanks for joining us tonight, and we're excited to hear your perspective as well.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
Okay, guys, so to kick things off, obviously we all know that education looks a lot different now than it did 12 months ago, right? I think that's stating the obvious, of course. But what I'd like to kind of hear from you guys and from your different perspectives is, yes, how much school has changed, but also what that means for our future. What will school look like for the next 12 to 18 months, and how have the changes that we've seen and that we've made in our classrooms, in our schools, or at home, how will that impact what education looks like moving forward? And Monica, if it's okay, I'd like to start with you, and then you can pass it on to somebody after you wrap up.
Okay, yes, there have been many changes, we know that. And what I've seen is that, first of all, our communication skills have been modified, right, a lot. Nowadays, with online learning, and even me working with teachers and schools, right, the environment requires just something to be clear, to be concise, to go directly, right, to the needs of the teachers, the needs of the students. Also, what I've seen is the technological literacy, technological literacy is another world now, right? Teachers had to go right into virtual teaching, and of course there was digital teaching right before that, but not as much as we have it right now. Also, something else, and me also, not being in the classroom but on the other side, is the time management skills. Time has also been a critical issue, right, with the online learning environment. And it is different from the traditional classroom. So even the schedules have changed, right? So something like that. And also how the teachers have come to find ways that the students can apply the concepts, the knowledge, right, that they are learning, that they are studying about. Some students might experience difficulties retaining information, right, that they learned from an online course because they were not only used to that. So we as teachers have to find effective ways to apply knowledge, right, to show how much they know. And also that leads us to assessment, because the teachers want to know how much the students have learned. So then how, right? We need to incorporate a lot of formative assessment, not only rely on the summative one, the feedback, the kind of conferences that we could have with our students that are also related to the time management. Because teachers are in front of the class, of the virtual classes, and in front of the computer so many hours that still they need to find time to have these conferences with students, conferences with parents, and everything is virtual. Yes. So there are some of these issues, right? The motivation, how the teachers and even me, right? How we keep the teacher's motivation, the students' motivation and engagement, right? The confidence. So we cannot let our students to fall behind. So what do we do? All right, in order not to lose that confidence. So they can drop out, but they drop out because they block themselves. Yes. So that is also something else. Also, just what we were talking before, right? The gadgets shortage, right? The internet connection, the availability of different devices among students within the families, the connectivity. Yes, that is really tricky nowadays. So millions of people around the world experiencing technical difficulties because of the high usage, right, of the online learning systems. So so many tools, so many digital tools that we use.
Yeah.
Right? The platforms are overloaded. So
yeah, absolutely. And you bring a lot of the the challenges that so many of us have had in the last year. And so certainly we're looking at and trying to think about what are those things that we can do as educators to turn that around into a positive, right? And those are some of the things that gosh, I've seen so many things and heard so many positive things from teachers just today about what they're doing in the classrooms. So I'm excited to hear and maybe Rosie, if it's okay. I know Monica, I said that I would have you pick the next person, but I want to see if I can hear Rosie talk a little bit about what that's looked like for you from the classroom perspective.
Okay. Is it my video on or is still off?
No, but we can hear you.
Okay. Well,
which is the most important thing.
well, okay. Thank you. Well, based on what I have experienced, it has been challenging, not only for students but for us too. In my case, I have to. Well, I knew some things about technology. I used some web pages, no, with my students in the classroom, but now changing to this new modality online, everything online, lessons, assessment, everything. Oh, it was like overwhelming, no? Like, how can I do this? How can I learn how to deal with all these technology, new things that I didn't know? And now it's not only me, but how I'm going to teach my students, no? Because some of them have the skills, but some of them are a little behind, and to keep them together, no? It was very challenging. Um, as Monica mentioned, the teaching time, no, it was reduced. Now I have to organize to plan my activities in order not to lose the essential things, no, what I have to teach my children, and also motivation. I agree with Monica too, because it is very difficult to keep them interested and motivated. Um, Encourage them to participate, to keep on, no, this has been challenging, but on the other hand, um, it's amazing to see how well they have deal with all these, how fast they learned, no, how to well, for example, we work with Google Classroom. There are some things that I don't know, and they are teaching me. Teacher, you have to press this button, and then you go to this, and it's really, really even satisfying, no, to see how well, how interested they are uh, on learning this way, no, in learning this way.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I've noticed when I've talked with teachers around the world is how resilient kids are. And I think we all knew that going in, right? But it's been a really good constant reminder of that resiliency, and I think too the importance of, and Monica mentioned it, and so did you, Rosie, about the mindset of the students. You know,
Yes.
that growth mindset is so important and so critical for our students. We were talking earlier today about social and emotional learning, and how much more important that is now than it was 12 months ago. You know, when we're facing these challenges. So I'm interested to hear also how you guys have worked with students on that mindset and what that's looked like for you guys. Fina, would you like to share with us a little bit about what you've seen, you know, with your teachers and with your students there, that has really transformed things for you guys? Oh, Fina, I think you're on mute.
Yeah,
There you go.
thank you. Even though we all have worked with this online sites and apps in the classroom, changing that to merely use it online, it was challenging for kids, especially for teachers, because we are the guidance, we are the students' guidance, and we had to teach English or the subject or the aspects, but also teach them how to deal with all those English aspects through technology. You know, and it was extremely difficult, but challenging as well. But what I've seen is that teamwork is crucial. You know, in my position, since I have to deal with parents, with students, with teachers, authorities, school authorities, it has been my experience that teamwork was crucial in this situation, and we could work better if we do things together. You know, sharing experiences, sharing I don't know, sites, ideas, strategies. It was much better to do it this way, to motivate students, guided in a group.
Yeah, and
as
yeah, I was just going to
Rosie
say.
was saying, students.
Yeah, go ahead,
Sorry.
Fina.
Thank you. And as Ms. Rossi was saying, students have been very resilient, very intelligent, not only intelligently doing the things, but emotionally, because that's another thing teachers are doing right now. They are supporting their students in an emotional way. Since we are getting in their home, in their ways of living, we have to be very supportive, brilliant with them. Students need supported with us and feel that they are not only the ones feeling ahead of technology. Everybody has felt like this. So we have to be empathetic with all those moods and situations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know, I think it's interesting. We know that the students are looking to us for that leadership and that guidance. And so when you were talking about teamwork and I think it's important for us to model that for our students, right? And hopefully you guys have found some ways to do some of the sharing that you've talked about. Have you found any particular method of making that teamwork amongst your teachers work better? Are there any sites or methods that you guys have used that has made that work?
Well, in my case, what I do to work on teams is via Zoom. Okay, and sometimes I must tell you that it's like I don't feel so confident to do that because I'm afraid the misuse they can do with the technology, with probably sharing something that is not suitable for them, no. And since I have to be monitoring the different rooms, I don't know what's happening in the other room, no. So that is something that I have to breathe and trust my students.
Yeah, and that's difficult, isn't it? Because as teachers, we like to be in charge of our classroom and take control of the learning, right? And so it's that certainly is. It's hard to let go of that sometimes. And so I applaud you for that effort. And you know, again, that's something that I think is a skill for our students moving forward that'll be really important, is for them to work together in teams.
Yes, and to be responsible, no, to know that they are assigned to do something. They have to focus on that because at the end they have to show, to share what they did on teams, the results.
Yeah. Yeah, and that becomes really important for them to report out as well. That holds them accountable, right? Which is critical.
Yes.
Ahilia, I'm interested to hear from you, from both the teacher perspective and the parent perspective, especially about what this has looked like for you guys and how you've overcome some of those obstacles and challenges, and are looking toward what that means for the future.
Sorry. Well, there's a word that I really like to think about, and it is reimagining education. I think it is super important to change our mindset as parents, as students, as educators, because this is the opportunity. I know when we think about the abrupt change that, well, all around the world we are living, it is undeniable that it causes anxiety or maybe not really nice feelings. But we know that in all crises, also creativity and also all the good at, yes, the talents that we have, and we can empower them. No? So I think if we have this principle, everything is going to be okay. We are going to try to do different things. And something that I learned is that, or something that I tell my students, is that we need to learn to enjoy learning. I mean, it doesn't matter if you make a mistake. The most important is that you learn. And when they see that you are trying to do things and you are putting all your heart in each class, they do it. And also as parents, because sometimes I think in the past we were, as parents, we were focused on results. But nowadays that we have the opportunity to see our children's classes, I think we can appreciate more the process. We can appreciate more the teachers that our kids have, and also we can be participants of this learning too. So I think that we have I always tell my sons that we are living a historical moment, and we should be, in a way, as we are healthy, we should feel happy. We should feel happy because this is not something that everybody can experience, and we can. So let's do the best that we can. And well, if we have to adapt, well, let's do it. So I am very thankful. I am very thankful because my two sons are doing great. They are, I can see their resilience and the flexibility that they have. I have told them there are some things that are out of our control. If there is no internet, well, there's no internet in all the zone, no? Because at the beginning it was a mess, even for teachers. When you don't have connection, it was like, oh, you want everything perfect. But things are not perfect, and this is the beauty of life.
Yeah, what a great spin you have put on that, and I thank you for passing that on to your own children and your students, because I think that really speaks to that social and emotional learning that we were talking about earlier, and having that mindset. And I think we often talk about we need to teach social and emotional learning skills, or soft skills, and I think what you're talking about is living it. And when we live it, when we experience it with our children, with our students, then it just becomes something that's second nature to them. We don't have to teach those skills. They're skills that they will acquire. So I certainly can appreciate that. And I want to go back to something that you said really early on there that I think is really important. And I think a lesson that if parents are learning that, if it's something that we can grasp and hold on to, I think will be critical moving forward. And that's about parents were focused on results before, right? Tell me what does that look like moving forward? What should, as an educator and as a parent yourself, what do you think the focus for parents should be when they're thinking about their children's education?
Well, I think that it is important that we include parents in their kids' education. Not that we haven't done it before, but nowadays it is everybody's at home, so we can do it. It is easier to do it. I mean, when you see that in the past, we as parents, we couldn't see our children in the classroom. Sometimes the teacher said, your kid is behaving like this, or he's doing this thing. And we have another face at home. But nowadays, we can see that what teachers are saying is not because they are against us. It's because they want to help. We want to help our family. And I always tell my parents as a teacher, my kids' parents, that we are three. We are a team of three. That we are school, parents, and the kids. And these three parts need to be complemented. And we are friends, and we need to work together. If we work together, we are going to have the results as the individual results that every kid can achieve. I think it is super important to tell our kids that they are doing great, because honestly they are doing great. And if they get a 10 or a 100 or a 90 or any result that they have, or any project, the result of a project, the most important is what have you learned? What can you tell me about this class, for example? And when you are there to support them, to get the materials, to read with them, I think that it is not important. I mean, not that grades are not important, but the process is the most important. And if they learn that from a very young age, or from the early age, they are going to be happy. They are going to be happy. They are going to know how to overcome difficulties.
Yeah, and what a important lesson I think that you've laid out there for all of us to be thinking about. We talk so often, and even before the pandemic, we were talking about we need 21st century education, 21st century skills, and so many people say those skills are problem solving. And so that's why I picked up on you saying that parents were focused on results, and yes, results are important. Just like I'm sure any parent, I want my own kids to get good grades, but I will tell you that it's more important for me when they make a mistake, when they get a bad grade, or they don't understand something, that they understand that process. And so what I heard you say was, parents are maybe moving from focusing on results to focusing on the process and how we get our students over those hurdles. I was a high school principal for a long time, and there's a couple classes at that secondary level that students really struggle with, even the best students. Biology or chemistry was always one, and algebra 2 or geometry was always another. And so you could have the straight A student that would be going, cruising through middle school, and then they get to that class, and all of a sudden they've never had to study before and they get A's, and then you'd get a phone call from that parent because that student would get a B, and they would ask me, why are they getting a B? It must be, the teacher's fault, or the student's not doing homework. What is it? Well, what it is that student needs to learn the process like you're talking about. And so I think, especially, for those younger students, it's important for them to learn to overcome those hurdles and those obstacles early on, isn't it? And this is one of those obstacles, right? And so it's a perfect opportunity to build those skills now.
And I think that there is no better reward to see your kid in your dining room, so excited to have a debate with their partners, or raising their hand eagerly because they want to be in the class, although it is online. And they understand that this is what we have. And I think that they understand too that education is a top priority for us as their parents, as their teachers, and that we are doing whatever is possible, and not only here, all around the world. And I think that when they think about it, when we help them think about it, because it's not easy. I think we have been struggling many months, but now I think they can understand that. And if we help them do it, they enjoy what they have. They are happy with the things that they have.
Yeah. Fantastic.
I would like to share, if you allow me.
Please, absolutely.
Today I had this situation. I asked them to listen to a recording and answer some questions, and complete some sentences, some gaps. And then I got a message from a student who told me, "Miss, I got a 9," and a sad face. And I was like, "Oh my God, it was great! You got a 9. That means that." No, but 9 is not a good grade. And I told him, no, but what do you think the most important thing is? That you got the 9, or you understood what you were listening to? Sorry for the noise, because my son is teaching. That's why there's a kind of noise here. Thank you. And then later in the other group, I had the same situation, that he got an 8, I think, and he didn't know how to answer. He answered only some, because he was not sure if the answers were right. And I said, well, if you make mistakes, what's going to happen? Don't you think that you could learn more from the mistakes, and you can notice what areas of opportunities you need to work, And I think that is something that we also have to make our students aware of, the process, as Ms. Sarge mentioned, what they are learning, instead of paying attention to the numbers.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to share with you.
Would you like to present?
Thank you for sharing that. I think you're absolutely right, and that's that all goes back to that mindset. And so, really important skills that that we can get out of the situation that we're in with our learning. Okay, so I'd like to move to talking a little bit about maybe some of the tools and resources that we've found and been able to use to help us move forward with education. We've talked a little bit about some of the struggles that we've had and the things that we've faced that we need to overcome. What are some tools and resources that you guys have found or have seen teachers using that have been beneficial and useful, and that maybe others could tap into as well?
Well, in my
yeah, go ahead, Rosie.
Okay, in my case, well, the platform, no, Trinity has been very useful because it has a lot of resources. Even my students have already learned how to access. If I ask them to read something and they don't have the book physically, they tell me, no, the following day, yes, I access to the platform, I could read. And sometimes they even answer exercises, no, in advance, because they have everything there. That is the main platform that I work with. Then, well, I have different ones, Kahoot, another that is called Quizzes, Twinkle. Those are the ones that I am using because I can create games, but also catch their attention and keep them immersed in my lessons. That is what I have been using.
And Rosie, can you just talk briefly about how do you see that moving forward now? Do you see yourself continuing and using it more than you would have traditionally?
Sorry, could you repeat it, please?
Oh yeah, sure. My question is really, were you using those tools to that extent before the pandemic, and how do you see yourself using them moving forward?
No, before the pandemic, well, I used those resources, but not every day, no? It was like, I don't know, probably twice or 3 times a week. And only for a moment, at the moment that I saw that they were like losing attention or they were tired, I used the resource. But nowadays I have to use them all the time, no, to keep them focused on what we have to do.
Sure. And Fina, do you have anything that you can add to that as far as what you've seen teachers using?
Yeah, it was kind of in a good point where we started to use those strategies, those sites, because we have been dealing with those for about several months, and then the pandemic started. So in a way, we have to deal with less technological. We have to get immediately with Zoom, knowing the platform, the G Suite applications, and all those things. So in a way, we English teachers kind of were ready, not that ready, but we knew how to deal with some of those technological guidance or support. But it was, as we were saying, very challenging to deal with everything at the same time. So that's why I was telling you before that sharing among us strategies or ways to teach, to engage, especially to engage your students, it was very, very important. And it was very nice to see that everybody was willing to share and to take all those ideas into account for the everyday lesson, for life, to support our students, as I was saying, not only in school, but also in their homes, to make them feel that they could be autonomous. And in a way, we are not only teaching students or showing that teachers have been always creative, always resourceful, but we are also modeling those traits for students with their to use with their lives.
Absolutely. And Monica, how about you? What have you seen that's working?
Well, I know, and Argelia, Tina, Rossi, they know, right? We've been working a lot, right, on the platform, and yeah, it was, and I know, and I got their comments at the beginning. It was overwhelming. Not all the tools, the digital tools that they were using, but just like the GLP platform, right, and Trinity. So I think that we've grown that our mindset, our growth mindset has helped everyone, because now we know that we have so many tools, so many resources, and we at the beginning we considered that, or many teachers thought, and mainly the parents, that everything that we had, all the resources that we had, printed or digital or anyway, right, before this pandemic, had to be done. So nowadays, having everything within one platform or on different apps, that doesn't mean that we have to do everything. And the example that I use is like that, for instance, at schools, we all had libraries, yes? But that didn't mean that we had to read all the books that we had there. So having so many resources that can be, that or are actually leveled, can meet, right, the needs, the actual needs of the different students, and make this differentiation and really contribute to making every student successful. So just having this variety is a great bank, right, of resources that we didn't have, right, before, or we had them, but mainly the printed materials had to be used, had to be finished, yes. And as Argelia said, having this partnership amongst institutions, the schools, the administrators, the teachers, the parents, the students, that is, I think, one of the most successful, right, parts of this pandemic that we can be proud of. Right? Not only the learning and the acquisition of knowledge, but this partnership.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring it back to that, and I'm so glad that you brought that up again, because I think sometimes we overlook that is one of the tools that or one of the resources maybe that we've pulled out of this, is that partnership that we're able to build, and how important that can be, and how valuable that can be moving forward. And I think it really is such an important component to that. We all have the same goal.
Yes, and we, for instance, with at HMH, we didn't used to have like meetings with parents, with school parents, have a webinar with the parents. When would we never thought of that before, right? And now even webinars with parents are organized, and they are interested in learning how their kids log in right into to a platform and get to know all the resources they have. So as I said, even having a library right there.
Yeah.
Hey, Monica, and I guess to anyone, I'd love to hear from the whole panel. But if there are parents on today's call listening, what would be one thing you'd like to share with them, or one thing you would ask for in supporting you all in the classroom? If you could speak directly to parents, what would you say to them?
I think is first of all, not only to parents, but everyone, be patient. Be open to all the efforts everyone, right, is making. It is an effort that has to do with everyone, yes, and give everyone the benefit of the doubt, yes, and just as Argelia said, right, just looking at the children, how enthusiastic they are, how motivated they are when they are participating even in debates or in small groups, and being able to see that even if you got a 9, right, as Rosie mentioned, it is a wonderful issue, a wonderful accomplishment, right? So just be patient and accept what we are learning, that it is a lot. I think that we've learned more throughout this year than many years right before in the traditional classroom in all different sides, right, of education.
Yeah, I think we could all use a little bit of patience, right?
Yes.
For sure. Fina, how about you? What would you say to parents?
Let me tell you that yesterday I joined Michael Spezio webinar,
Yeah.
and I was recalling that we have been asking these to parents every time we have a meeting with them to be a facilitator, to guide their kids. I mean, not to give them the answers because we know they are behind them, or we know that their parents are next to them and they hear even. But they have to be a facilitator to their kids could by themselves. One as always, but we have to be very way we are here.
Yeah, and Mohammed and Jason are both big science dimensions guys, and Michael Despezio was a huge part of that. But we often say with that train of thought, no longer do we want to be the sage on the stage, right? But the guide on the side. So facilitating that learning with the kids. So that's huge, and kudos to you for joining that session. Argelia, what would you say to parents? Speaking to your, yourself as well as a parent, what would you say?
Well, I would say that we have to take it day to day. I mean, it is easy to feel overwhelmed. There's many things we have to balance. So I think that we should be content with with what we are doing. The most important, as I have mentioned, is that we are healthy, what we are living, and that we are not losing. We are learning a lot, as Monica said. I think online education is not something new, but now everybody is forced to do it. And in the past, we were, I say we because maybe all of us or the 3 parts, we were reluctant to use digital tools. But now we have that opportunity to see how our kids are digital citizens, and they are learning too how to behave online. They are learning how to support each other, and they are learning how incredible and how apart from incredible, let me find the word. Yeah, what necessary? How necessary is to be part of a community and to be an active part, because sometimes we are part of the community, but we are selfish. But if we are an active part of our communities, we are going to enjoy what we are doing, and we are going to help each other.
Yeah, I feel like if you ask any teacher, they would tell you that life itself education is a lifelong journey. And every year that I was in the classroom teaching, there wasn't a single year that ended where I felt I did everything, right? I checked all the boxes and that I got everything done, and that was when we were in the classroom and before 2020 hit. So I like your point about, taking a deep breath and realizing we can only do what we can do, right? There's only so much that can be accomplished in a year. We're trying our best. The kids are only ready for so much, right? And can only handle so much. So, yeah, that idea, that topic of patience, once again, and just being content with our effort that we're putting forth and that they're putting forth. Rosie, oh, sorry.
No, sorry.
I was just going to ask Rosie if she had something maybe that she wanted to just quickly put out there to any parents.
Parents, well, the same, patience, please be patient.
Yeah.
Not only with the kids, no, but with those too, because sometimes there are I don't know, difficulties or issues that we can find. For example, no, the time of when I assign a homework, something that they have to do, and sometimes it doesn't depend on me. The web page, the internet, whatever the situation is, no, and even kids, no, they are like frustrated because they cannot answer or they couldn't access to the website. It happened to me once. I was trying a site, and I told them, no, let's do this, let's try it, it's new. You and me are learning, and I was getting a lot of messages, Miss, I cannot access, Miss, I don't know how to do it, Miss. So I told them, no, don't worry, we are learning, let's be patient, and little by little we'll be finding out the ways, know how to work with this. I have to tell you that some of my children already know how to create their own games, no, and they ask me, teacher, can I share the game? And that's how I try to motivate them. Yes, let's work with this, and then we play, no sé, Fernanda's game or Rocio's game. So for parents, I think that the message would be that be patient. Your kids can achieve a lot of things, no? Just let's be patient and understanding.
Thank you, Rosie.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Mohammed, anything that's coming through in the chat or question-wise?
Oh, thanks, Drew. We've got a few things in the chat. We have one comment that says here, for sure, I'm excited about reimagining education. It is such a great opportunity for us to bring more innovation into the work we do. And we have another lovely comment that says, we are not just in survival mode any longer. Us and our kids will thrive. So those are two of the quite positive outlooks of our audience here live on YouTube as well. And I think you guys are doing a fantastic job in highlighting and showing us some of the ways we've been able to be resilient and find solutions to some of those challenges. It seems that equity is probably high up there on some of our challenges, and I appreciate all of your comments there.
Thanks for sharing those comments, Mohammed. If it's okay, I'd like to transition over to assessment a little bit, because we've kind of alluded to it a couple of times, and maybe, it obviously is looking different. It's still something that's really important. Monica was talking earlier about sometimes we can feel overwhelmed with all of the resources or tools or apps and websites and different things that are out there to bring to the classroom. And I always think of assessment as the thing that will tell us what tool we need to use. It helps inform how we make those instructional decisions. So I'm interested to see and to hear from you guys, what assessment tools and how are you monitoring your students' growth and assessing that growth. So if it's okay, Fina, do you have anything that you'd like to share there with what's going on with at your school with assessment?
We have been assessing with G Suite, with the questionnaires that would make students get their own grade or points immediately so they can check or revise their answers. That is very important for students, not only to get a letter or a number in a test, but also to have their own feedback so they can correct by their own, or they can improve the process of learning. So we have been a little bit more sensible about this issue. A number is not, as the other teachers were saying, a number is not going to give us, or a letter, the exact result of the process. On the contrary, the students have to go through their own feedback of that process. So in a way, I mean, technology has helped us a lot, not only to have their tests immediately within the session, but also check with them their answers and make them feel they can reach their goals little by little, but that they can do it.
Yeah, and I'm so encouraged to hear you say that the technology has helped you leverage that data a little bit better. I heard someone talk the other day about that very idea that we should rely on the technology to help us with the assessment, so that then we can use the data to make better instructional decisions, you know? And so if the technology is doing things like the grading for us and giving us those results, that frees up some time for us to really work on our instruction. So I think that that's a really important thing that you guys are doing, and obviously something that you guys see as valuable moving forward, right? Something positive that you're getting out of this. Yeah, great. Argelia, I'm interested to hear from you on this topic of assessment and what that means, because again, you talked earlier about you know, the process and versus the outcome. So talk to us a little bit about what you've seen and what you hope to see in the future as well.
Well, formative assessment has always been a must for me, and I think that now that we have this opportunity to teach online, well, things has not changed in that way, because if I observe my kids every day and I am pending on their needs, and I give, as Ms. Pina said, the feedback in the correct moment, they are going to improve, and this is what I want. We continue applying quizzes or tests. I think they have an intention, and I think it is not necessary to reduce them. We can continue doing that, but also we need to be aware of all the difficulties that our students are facing too. So maybe we are not giving the same percentage that we have done before. Something that I have implemented too is working on projects. When I am working in projects, they can divide the project in stages, and if we need to go back, we can go back. And that's why I said that it's not really important, the result, but assessment should be, of course, it is, of course, an important part of education, and this is the aspect that is going to make our students learn.
Yeah, and you touched on a couple of really important things there, and so you know, talked about the importance of formative assessment, but also growth. You know, I mean, that's ultimately what we're looking for, right? Yes, again, the final number, the final result is important. I love the thumbs up, Monica. But it's that growth that's so critical, because that's really what we want to see, you know. And so that's one thing, and I've heard it over and over again today, and I think it really will be a theme that comes out of these past 12 months and moving forward, something that I think will become even more important is how we measure that growth. So that formative assessment that you guys are talking about, and Fina referred to it, the students getting feedback instantly and leveraging our technology and our tools and resources to do that is so important. Yeah, Argelia, you had something else to say.
Yeah, I would like to add that something important is also to teach our students how to self-assess, because honestly, in life, well, this is what we do when we are adults. We know what we are doing. We know if we are doing things right or not. And our kids should be able to identify their own strengths and their own weaknesses. So this is something that it has worked for me, for my students, and I think it's also something that have helped them grow.
Yeah. And, we talked earlier about us modeling for our students. And so that reflective practice, that self-assessment, I know that's probably something I see you guys shaking your head that I think we all do, right? After we're done teaching a lesson or giving a presentation, whatever it is, we have that reflective practice. And it's so important to instill that in our students. And again, that's one of those soft skills that we talk about that it's really important that we model that for our students. So yeah, fantastic. Guys, I know we're getting close to the top of the hour here. So I thought maybe we could go around our virtual room here and maybe share one thing that a piece of advice that you would give somebody just starting out. We had a conversation earlier on one of our calls about a new teacher coming into education this year, or maybe next year. Maybe we've got a student teacher this year, and things look so different. So what's one piece of advice that you would give someone just starting out, or maybe it's even a piece of advice to parents that are just starting out with students in school, moving forward? Monica, you want to go first?
Yeah, I think it is like just a piece of advice. Give ourselves the opportunity to think out of the box, right? Mainly, we are teaching, we are acquiring knowledge, but then what? We are not memorizing that knowledge. We are applying the knowledge in life. That is the best assessment we should have, right? That is the best way to show how much you've learned. So just give us the opportunity to find that balance. Yes, giving that opportunity to our students to show how much they learn and how they can show it without just like the quizzes and all that, but find a balance.
Great. That's such important advice. Thanks, Monica, for sharing.
May I?
Yeah. Rosie, go ahead. And then Argelia, you're next.
Thank you very much. Well, I just want to say that we have changed. Definitely, we are not the same as when the pandemic began. We as teachers have learned a lot, and our kids have learned a lot. So that is something that we should feel proud of, no? Because education has changed in a way that we didn't, well, we never imagined that it could be possible, and just feel proud of what we have achieved so far. That's all.
Great. And I hear in that while it's challenging, we all know that we're getting through it together. And
oh yes,
so
we did it. We did it.
We're doing it.
Argelia?
Well, my piece of advice would say that don't be afraid, let things flow. Don't try again. And if you can, if the first time is not as successful as you expect, try again and try again. And for a new teacher, I would say that it is super important to be approachable. If your kids feel that commitment with you, they are going to do whatever you want they do.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good way to get buy-in from your students for sure. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing, Argelia.
Yeah, thank you.
Fina, how about you?
for a new teacher, I would say that ask for help. There is always going to be someone willing to share, to guide, because we are all new at this. So sorry. So raise your hand, ask for support, for help.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. That is so important. And you know, we on one of the sessions earlier today, someone said, you know, I've learned through this to rely on those people around me, and the person next to me might be an expert on something, and they might have a really good idea. So I see that as another one of those common themes that we've talked about tonight. You know, sharing and teamwork, and we're all in this together. And I think that's a really good way for us to kind of wrap up our time together tonight, guys. I so appreciate your time and the preparation that you put into this, and the words of wisdom that you shared with everybody watching. I think that we had some really great conversations, and I certainly appreciate your insight from, you know, so many different perspectives. Thanks to everybody that's watching on our YouTube live channel. If you haven't already subscribed to the HMH International Content Cares channel, we encourage you to do that. We've got a lot of really great content there, and we want to continue to engage with educators around the world. Guys, again, thank you so much. It's been so great to speak with you, to hear your insights about education and what it looks like now and what it'll look like in the future. So thanks, everybody, and that's all we have for now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well,
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Stay safe.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.